Live from New Delhi, you're watching Indeed India Live, India's voice to the world. I'm Abhishek Mahajan, coming up in the next 30 minutes. India steps up investment pitch at World Economic Forum. Largest ever delegation, including several union ministers, chief ministers and business leaders, articulate India's narrative at Davos. Australia's lower house approves tougher gun control laws in response to Bondi Beach mass shooting, sends to Senate for consideration. 6th edition of Khelo India Winter Games kicks off in Leh. Olympic sport figure skating, major attraction. Our top story, global leaders, CEOs and policymakers are converging in the Swiss Alps as the World Economic Forum's annual meeting gets underway in Davos. Taking place amid rising geopolitical tensions and economic uncertainty, this year's summit is focused on dialogue, cooperation and future solutions. India is also making a strong presence, projecting itself as a key growth engine and solution provider on the global stage, making Davos once again the center of global decision-making. Diptanshu Kashyap brings us this report.
The 56th annual meeting of the World Economic Forum is underway in Davos, Switzerland, as global leaders gather at a time of heightened geopolitical and economic uncertainty. Running from January 19 to 23 under the theme A Spirit of Dialogue, the meeting aims to serve as a neutral platform for exchange, problem solving and future-focused discussions on challenges ranging from growth and technology to climate and governance.
We're really honored to have you join us at the start of such an important week. A week that promises to be both enriching and transformative, and comes at a historic moment as our world undergoes profound changes. It's a moment of uncertainty, but also possibility. Not a moment to retreat, but a moment to rise.
The World Economic Forum is an international non-profit think tank that brings together leaders from business, government, academia, and civil society to address global challenges through public-private cooperation. Founded in 1971, by Klaus Schwab, with the mission to improve the state of the world, the forum is best known for its annual Davos meeting, while its year-round networks focus on economic stability, digital trust, and climate resilience. At a pivotal moment for global cooperation, the annual meeting is bringing together nearly 3,000 leaders from over 130 countries, including around 400 senior political leaders and dozens of heads of state and government, alongside top CEOs, investors, and technology pioneers. India is making a strong mark at the World Economic Forum with a large delegation of ministers and corporate leaders, highlighting its focus on growth and global investment. The country's role has evolved from a participant to a solution provider, showcasing digital public infrastructure, a thriving startup ecosystem, climate action initiatives, and its vision for inclusive and sustainable growth in the AI-driven future. The agenda features high-profile panels and special addresses on artificial intelligence, economic growth and geopolitics, with global leaders such as Emmanuel Macron, Mark Carney, Donald Trump, Abdel Fattah al-Sisi, Javier Milei, and Pedro Sanchez taking the stage, underlining Davos' continued relevance as a forum for global dialogue. The forum's impact extends beyond the annual meeting, shaping economic thinking through influential reports and initiatives, providing a neutral space for dialogue in an increasingly fragmented world, and enabling informal diplomacy outside traditional summits through behind-the-scenes engagement among political and business leaders. As global fault lines deepen and cooperation becomes harder to sustain, Davos once again serves as a meeting point where dialogue, diplomacy, and decision making converge with implications that reach far beyond the Swiss Alps. Diptanshu Kashyap's report for DD India.
And various union and state level leaders are representing India at the World Economic Forum at Davos. The delegation includes Andhra Pradesh Chief Minister Chandrababu Naidu, Assam CM Himanta Biswa Sarma, Gujarat Deputy CM Harsh Sanghvi and other leaders. Speaking at the joint press conference at the India Pavilion in the World Economic Forum, Union Minister of New and Renewable Energy Prasar Joshi highlighted the vision of Viksit Bharat and the ambition of the people of India.
This space carries the ambition of our people, the resolve of our leadership, that is to make India Viksit Bharat by 2047, and the belief of India time is not coming, India's time is now.
Meanwhile, Union Civil Aviation Minister K. Ramohan Naidu emphasized India's economic might and stressed on the importance of contemporary India on the global level.
India today is the fastest growing major economy in the world, and it is a country whose confidence is rooted in strong fundamentals and a very clear vision. And the vision comes from the strong and decisive leadership of our Honorable Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi ji. And India has been growing leaps and bounds, not just in numbers, but in ambition, aspiration, and global engagement. India right now is a global trusted partner, not only for manufacturing, but for technology, innovation, and future-ready solutions. Opportunities for the world lie in India today.
The Unmanned Systems Exhibition and the Simulation and Training Exhibition opened on Tuesday at the Abu Dhabi National Exhibition Centre in the UAE capital. The twin exhibitions bring together global players showcasing advances in unmanned systems, robotics, simulation and training technologies. Running until January 22nd, the 7th edition has recorded its largest participation since 2015 with 375 companies and brands from 38 countries, including 10 first-time participants. International firms make up 55% of exhibitors, while the UAE pavilion is the largest. The director of Kalashnikov concern, Leonid Rekuya, highlighted the company's product features and expressed openness to the Indian market.
The Kalashnikov concern developed the full line of the loitering munitions and reconnaissance UAVs that form a complex of strike and reconnaissance to find the targets and to eliminate them. The Russian concern Kalashnikov has a very big experience, combat experience that we are getting now, and we are open to give this technology to our Indian friends.
Now, Abu Dhabi National Oil Company Gas and Hindustan Petroleum Corporation Limited have signed a 10-year LNG supply agreement valued between $2.5 and $3 billion, further strengthening India-UAE energy cooperation. Abu Dhabi National Oil Company Gas and its subsidiaries have signed a 10-year liquefied natural gas sales and purchase agreement with Hindustan Petroleum Corporation Limited valued between $2.5 billion and $3 billion. Under the agreement, ADNOC Gas will supply 0.5 million tons per annum of LNG to HPCL from its Das Island liquefaction facility, which has a production capacity of up to 6 million tons per annum. The agreement was exchanged by Dr. Sultan bin Ahmed Al Jaber, UAE Minister of Industry and Advanced Technology and Managing Director and Group CEO of ADNOC, and Vikas Kaushal, Chairman and Managing Director of HPCL, during UAE President Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed Al Nahyan's visit to India, where he held talks with Prime Minister Narendra Modi. Now, global leaders from both politics and business are meeting once again at Davos, Switzerland for the annual World Economic Forum. At the same time, the Anti-Poverty and Development Organization Oxfam is out with their annual report on wealth inequality. Lars Holter is with DW and joins me from Berlin. Hi Lars, good to have you. What's in the report?
Thanks for having me. Well, it's not entirely surprising, but indeed wealth inequality is still on the rise, meaning not only is it a huge problem, but the gap between the rich and the poor is indeed growing once again, as it has been every single year going back decades. And the numbers are truly shocking. Oxfam says that the world's roughly 3,000 billionaires currently hold a combined fortune of $18.3 trillion. That's up more than 80% over the past 5 years. And looking at last year's growth rate alone, billionaire wealth grew by about 16%. And not only is that a lot more than average people's wealth growth, but it is also 3 times faster than the average rate of growth in previous years. So the rich are not only getting richer, but they are indeed getting richer faster. Meanwhile, according to Oxfam, nearly half of the global population continues to live in poverty. The most shocking line in the report, the world's 12 richest individuals now own more wealth than the poorest half of the global population, or more than 4 billion people.
Also, Lars, who are those at the very top of the list, the very richest?
Well, most of them are household names. Most of them are from the US. Is Elon Musk, Tesla CEO, and worth almost $350 billion. And a prime example for how things have been getting out of control. Musk, you might remember, was awarded a $139 billion pay package late last year. And that's not in that number he's currently in the books with. That would be additional. And Musk is also a prime example for how money buys influence. In his case, we just have to think back to last year when Musk took over large parts of the US government, slashing costs in different departments, including social services and health programs, with no real mandate at all other than his close relations and financial donations to US President Trump. But moving on down the list, the very richest also include the Silicon Valley bosses, Mark Zuckerberg, Jeff Bezos, Larry Ellison is there, Larry Page and Sergey Brin, each of them worth way north of $100 billion.
Also, Lars, what does Oxfam suggest should change in an effort to fight wealth inequality?
Well, I don't think that at this point anyone at Oxfam or elsewhere for that matter is very optimistic that anything will change. But Oxfam has, of course, argued for higher wealth taxes for decades. Other than that, they resort to dark humor. Their report uses some bizarre equations to illustrate how far out of balance everything is. They're saying, for example, that in fact the 4 richest men in the world are worth more than all the cows on the planet would cost combined. Obviously, with hunger still being a terrible threat to people's lives in many parts of the planet. They also calculated that the world's billionaires could buy more than 600 billion Labubu collectible figures, and that it would take nearly 6 million years to unpack them all. But back to being serious, they're saying that billionaires technically earn an average of $6,000 doing a 20-minute power nap, or that Elon Musk would have to give away $4,500 per second to actually see his wealth go down. Are we hopeful to see this escalating trend change? Not really, and the World Economic Forum in Davos is the perfect illustration for it. This week, some of the richest people and many of the most powerful world leaders are meeting, along with dozens of central bank chiefs and finance ministers. And it's safe to assume that the well-connected will continue to benefit.
All right, Lars, we'll leave it at that. Thank you for getting us the updates on that story. Some more world news now. Everyday Live continues in Capaslit, a remote Greenlandic settlement where residents hunt across snowy hills, live in small houses clinging to slopes and travel by motorboat over cold seas beneath towering mountains, showing how this quiet community endures and stays closely connected to the Arctic landscape. A woman in Lebanon has spent over a decade rescuing and sheltering around 70 cats, turning her home and shop into a refuge and often sleeping among them. She now struggles to keep the shelter running as rising costs and dwindling donations put heavy strain on her finances. Researchers from Penguin Watch at Oxford and Oxford Brookes University report that 3 Antarctic penguin species are breeding earlier than a decade ago, likely due to rapid warming. Studying 37 colonies from 2012 to 2022, they found Gentoo penguins advanced 13 days per decade and Adelaide and chinstrap about 10, the fastest shift recorded in birds or vertebrates. Still to come on this edition of DD India Live. Nitin Nabin elected as new president of BJP becomes BJP's youngest chief. Areas around Kumbhalgarh sanctuary declared eco-sensitive zone. And in a major push to the vision of Atmanirbhar Bharat in tech, SISA launches nationwide campaign of Cyber Smart Bharat.
Geopolitics and trade deals. Economic challenges amid development. Hard work and the path to prosperity. It's the economy always. Between walkers, money is what money does and says. Supply creates its own demand. Between the bulls pulls and bears tears. When supply chains globalization and India rises to the podium. We'll get you centered with the economic brief at 8 p.m. every Thursday on DD India.
Can the US launch a
Welcome back. You're watching DD India Live. I'm Abhishek Mahajan. Some more stories. Israeli Foreign Minister Gideon Saar said that US President Donald Trump invited Israel to join a new Board of Peace initiative. Speaking at a press conference in Prague alongside Czech Foreign Minister Peter Makenka, Saar described Trump as the one that is building this Board of Peace and added that Trump had also invited Russian President Vladimir Putin to participate in the initiative.
President Trump is the one that's building this Board of Peace. He invited Israel, Prime Minister of Israel, to be a part of it, and he also invited President Putin, Russia, to be a member there.
US President Donald Trump said on Tuesday that Britain's deal to cede sovereignty of the island of Diego Garcia in the Chagos Islands to Mauritius was an act of total weakness, adding that it was another in a very long line of national security reasons why Greenland has to be acquired. The island of Diego Garcia houses a strategically important US-UK air base in the Indian Ocean. Britain and Mauritius last year struck a deal to pass on the sovereignty of the Chagos Islands to Mauritius while allowing Britain to retain control of the airbase under a long-term lease. The deal had previously been supported by the US administration, which said when it was signed in May that it welcomed the agreement and commended efforts to secure the long-term operation of the joint military base. Now, French President Emmanuel Macron told US President Donald Trump that he could set up a G7 meeting in Paris and that he did not understand what Trump was doing on Greenland in a screenshot of the direct one-on-one messages to Trump which the US President posted on Truth Social on Tuesday. Back home, the Bharatiya Janata Party has formally announced today that Nitin Nabin has taken charge as BJP's national president at the party headquarters in New Delhi. The charge-taking ceremony was attended by Prime Minister Narendra Modi along with senior party leaders, chief ministers and key office bearers, marking an important organizational transition for the party. During the event, the Prime Minister congratulated BJP, the party cadre and expressed confidence in the new leadership. PM Modi also affirmed that under Nitin Nabin's leadership, the BJP will continue to expand its organizational strength, achieve new milestones in the times ahead and further deepen its connect with the youth of the nation. Nitin Nabin has been elected unopposed, succeeding outgoing BJP President JP Nadda and is expected to focus on strengthening the party's grassroots network and organizational roadmap going forward.
आने वाले 25 वर्ष बहुत महत्वपूर्ण है। ये वो कालखंड है जब विकसित भारत का निर्माण होना है और होना तय है। इस महत्वपूर्ण कालखंड की शुरुआत में हमारे माननीय नितिन नवीन जी बीजेपी की विरासत को आगे बढ़ाएंगे। मैं आजकल के युवाओं की भाषा में कहूं तो नितिन जी खुद भी एक प्रकार से मिलेनियल है। वो उस जनरेशन से हैं जिसने भारत में बड़े आर्थिक, सामाजिक और टेक्नोलॉजिकल परिवर्तन होते देखे हैं।
The Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change, Government of India has issued a notification declaring the biodiversity-rich area ranging from 0 to 1 kilometer around the Kumbhalgarh Wildlife Sanctuary located in the Aravalli mountain range as an eco-sensitive zone. The sanctuary, rich in flora and fauna, hosts the leopard, striped hyena, jungle cat, Indian pangolin, blue bull and chinkara. It is also home to bird species such as painted francolin. The declaration of ESZ will not just help the rich biodiversity thrive, but also help indigenous communities in the area live freely with eco-friendly and community-focused initiatives such as organic farming, agroforestry. There will also be imparted skill development for a sustainable future. The initiative is inspired by Prime Minister Narendra Modi's vision for community-driven conservation of India's diverse and rich ecology. In a major push to the vision of Atmanirbhar Bharat in tech, SISA, a global cybersecurity company, launched the nationwide campaign of Cyber Smart Bharat. In an MOU signed with a listed social organization, Unnati, the program will train 25,000 students in next 2 months from government schools and rural background in cybersecurity. Founder and CEO of SISA, Doordarshan Shantamurthy, said this initiative will also support in creating India a skill hub. The vision is to train over 1 lakh students across India in coming months.
This initiative is one of its kind initiative where we would go about training people on cybersecurity, especially youth who are coming out of colleges on cybersecurity, and also educate them on the opportunity that exists on cybersecurity as a career.
Sports updates now. The 6th edition of Khelo India Winter Games kicked off in Leh city of Ladakh as Lieutenant Governor Kavindra Gupta inaugurated the event. During the inaugural ceremony, local cultural troops performed, showcasing the diverse culture and heritage of Ladakh. The games will be held from 20th to 26th January, featuring a range of winter sports and bringing together athletes from various states and union territories. Figure skating, an Olympic sport, has been introduced from this edition in addition to the existing speed skating and short track skating. The games mark another important milestone in India's growing winter sports journey. And defending champion Yannick Sinner barely broke sweat in launching his quest to win a third Australian Open in a row. Sinner strolled into second round when French opponent Hugo Gaston retired with the second set in full control of the match at 6-2, 6-1. Should he win 3 titles in a row in Melbourne, Sinner would join Novak Djokovic as the only men in the Open era to do so. While Frenchman Gael Monfils meanwhile bid farewell to Melbourne Park with a defeat. The 39-year-old battled all the way, but Australian qualifier Dane Sweeney prevailed 6-7, 7-5, 6-4, 7-5 in an epic battle lasting nearly 4 hours. Monfils, who has won 13 ATP titles, said in October that this year would be his last in tennis. Former Australian Open finalist Elena Rybakina reinforced her title credentials with a comfortable first-round victory in Melbourne. The 5th seed, who lost 2023 final to Arina Sabalenka, sent Slovenia's Kaja Juvan packing 6-4, 6-3. Rybakina, who won Wimbledon in 2022, faces France's Varvara Gracheva next. Alright, that's all we have in this edition of DD India Live, but do let us know your thoughts on the news of the day. For those on the go, you can get all the latest news and updates from India and across the world on DD India mobile app. The app is available on both Android and iOS platforms. Scan the QR code on the screen to download now. And we'll be back with more news as it breaks here on DD India. I'm Abhishek Mahajan. From all of us here in Delhi, thanks for watching DD India Live.